Hi, welcome back to our Sister Sunday discussions with the International Sister Circle. My name's Jaisha, and before we do go any further, we do have an important message that Her Royal Highness Queen Diambi posted, and with everything that's going on, we thought that it would be great for us to show you guys. So please have a look at this video.
I sit in mourning because my son can't breathe. Sit because my son was choked to death. I sit in mourning because my son got shot while jogging. I sit in mourning because my son was shot playing in the park. I sit in mourning because my son was shot in his car with his baby in the back. I sit in mourning because my son was shot in his own apartment. I sit in mourning because my son was shot on his way home with a bag of Skittle in his pocket. How many more of my son will have to die while you have your hands in your pocket and your justice remains blind? But know this, for every life unjustly taken, 100 more of my sons will rise. I sit in mourning because my son can't breathe.
Oh man. What did you think about that, ladies?
And I think that was a beautiful message. And it speaks for all of us that have children, that have brothers, that have uncles, fathers. Like every Black male is important, and I think she spoke to all of that. So when I first saw that video, I was really touched by it.
Yeah, I agree, Jashia, and I thank her for reaching out and showing us how she feels, and she's speaking how we all feel. We absolutely, again, it's like re-trauma because it keeps happening every so often.
Hmm.
I think we need a platform just like this and others that are there to help the healing.
Definitely.
There's work to be done as well. We've got some work to do.
Definitely. So we do thank Black Ice TV7, for being one of those platforms where we could speak out about these things that are happening. And I think just the sad thing about it is that we have to speak about it when something happens.
Mm.
Let us not wait until that time where something happens, where we uplift one another, where we promote ourselves, as Mr. Riggs always says before we leave a show, be black, stay black, buy black, do black. We have to do better as a people in terms of coming together and uniting as people. So exactly what you're saying, Nakima, thank you, Queen Diambi, for expressing how you feel, how we all feel, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Oh,
just for the families, what was you going to say, Terry?
I was just going to ask quickly, in the fact of that we have you here and we have Nakima here, right? In things of what we need to do through the International Sister Circle and how we can apply it in working with the community in its perspective.
Definitely. So myself being one of the facilitators of ISC was there at the beginning in terms of when it first started, and our aim is in order to bring Black people together and helping uplift our communities. I've had conversations with Terry before, and there are a lot of groups out there that empower Black people, empower Black women. But one of the things that's different about ourselves is that we want to empower Black women, to empower homes, to empower children, to empower communities. We all are not one without the other. So one of the things that we want to keep doing within International Sister Circle is reaching out to communities, not just here in the UK, but also in America, in Canada, in Africa, in Brazil, anywhere where we can lay our hands and help the community uplift and be better. That is, one of our purpose. And that's why we have these shows, in order to educate, to keep knowledge, in order to promote one another, promote businesses, so that we can work together in order to rebuild and uplift and build our homes, our men, our children. I think often two times we've allowed the system and society to do that for us, and it's time that we take that back and really take control of that. Welcome, Cheryl. Cheryl Phoenix is our guest for today, and I feel like what Cheryl has to talk about and what she stands for is very, very timely in terms of what's been going on, and she's been doing this work for so long now. If you were able to tune in last week, and you saw that we had an introduction to Cheryl and the Black Child Agenda and what they do and how they help children within the system, and how she helps empower families to be able to know their rights and what they can do. So, Cheryl, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. As you said, my name's Cheryl Phoenix. I run an organisation called the Black Child Agenda, tackling the schools to prison pipeline. As you can see, I'm up and down because on a Friday and a Sunday, we basically cook. So we have a lot of elderly people that don't have access to the streets and shops, so we cook. We also sell as well, so you can, while you're fully moving around, I'm fully engaged.
Yeah.
So the Black Child Agenda was born out of what was happening to my sons in school, with regards to constant isolation, being picked on by teachers, where it's like being turned crazy. And what I noticed is that it wasn't just my sons, but they were the school excluded 16 Black boys, particularly in the same school. So with that, I took to actually trying to do something different, because I could see the direct relationship between that and our young people ending up on the roads, getting involved in the criminal justice system because they're vulnerable and being groomed by whoever are in their local area. So the Black was born some time back, and I've been doing the work ever since. So I regularly deal with social services and care proceedings. I also deal with exclusions and discrimination. That could be your natural hair, that could be if a boy's got cane roads, whatever it is, and go in and have them overturned. Now, one of the things is that this fact that I overturn about 99% of my cases says that I'm either that good or there's a problem in the system with regards to the unlawful exclusions of particularly black males. So it's a quick introduction to me and what I do.
Yeah. We love that. Just to give you guys a quick reminder that share this video with anyone that you may know. Please like and subscribe to the Black Eyes TV channel. And there's so much more that they do. There's daily shows on every week. So please tune into them. If you want to know more about what we do at International Sister Circle, head over to our website, which is internationalsistercircle.com. You can send us an email at info@internationalsistercircle.com or go over to our Instagram page, which is also International Sister Circle. So Cheryl, when a parent comes to you and they're having problems with the school and being able to really connect with their school and the child and what's going on, what's your first protocol? You're on mute, darling.
Oh,
it's
right.
You're okay.
You're on mute.
Cheryl, you're on mute.
Is that better now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I get a background. Then one of the key things I say to all parents, whether they're going through issues or not, is to contact the school in writing and ask for a copy of their child's school file. Because that's what you like. If you were to go into any court or anything, you need to have facts and evidence. And what you're looking for in there is not necessarily the school has done wrong or what your child has done wrong, but just a whole picture. Now that picture will include, particularly if your child has additional needs, you need to know exactly what the school's put in place, how long they've put it in place for, what the outcomes are supposed to be, if they've achieved those outcomes, how your child responds to whatever it is that they have put in place, if it's counselling, if it's one-to-one support, if they have difficulty writing, processing issues, it's right across the board. So that's what you're going to need. The schools can take up to 10 working days for that to get back sent to you. With that, I say to parents, read it. And it's like I say to them, you're going to go for a range of emotions, anger, crying, shock. You're going to see a lot of things that aren't correct in there, but it's fine. And then from there, that's when we can challenge whatever it is that the parent has contacted me about.
Yeah. So do you have quite a few parents that actually do contact you? Because I feel like sometimes, when as a parent, if you're not a part of it, if you've never experienced it, you don't really know what's happening out there. Sometimes it has to be brought to the forefront. And that's why I like these platforms like Black Eyes TV that put these narratives in the forefront of what's going on. So do you have a lot of parents that actually come to you?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I do this every day, every day, even during the lockdown. It's regular. So it is a daily occurrence. And sometimes I get the cases quite later on where where the system has already got to the point of they've already excluded the child, or we're going to court review, so you go to governor's hearings. I try and avoid going to the governor's hearings with the parents, because the unfortunate thing is I have to charge for my service because I'm not funded by government or any other agency.
Yeah.
So I say to parents, that you go to the governor's hearing to save money, and then I will come to the next phase. You tend to find that governors do support the schools because they're all friends. So then you just take it to the next level up. But yeah, I get parents from London, Manchester, Leeds, Birmingham, Bristol, Coventry, all over the UK, and we service the whole of the UK.
I love that. And is it just you work solely, or do you have a team behind you that help you?
A couple of solicitors that work with us, and they also run their own independent firms, and they can range from crime, education, also we have crime education, employment, housing, immigration, and children's services as well, children and families. So if a case is like with regards to the children and families area, if it's like maybe a CIM, children in need, then that's where I'll come in. If it's something that has to go to court, I'll give it to a solicitor, because that's I just know where my strengths are.
We did have a look last week at interviews that you've done previously, because we did, cover that you've been doing this for a while now, and I know that you briefly explained what made you get into this. So is there anything that parents can do to be more knowledgeable in how to avoid getting to that place in the first place? Like, how can we be more proactive as parents with our children being in these settings?
Right, the best thing to do is to just basically, if you have any concerns, go to the school and speak to them. And it's a catch-22 kind of question. And the reason I say that, I've had parents who are teachers themselves. I have parents who are social workers, doctors, surgeons. I have two-parent households. I have parents that are school governors, parent teaching association, and they still find themselves falling victim to racism or discrimination within the education system. And a lot of these parents are au fait with what's going on in the school. Sometimes it's not even a matter of if, it's just when it's going to be you or your child. I have an A-grade student, it doesn't matter. The one common denominator I'm finding is that the child is black or mixed race, and then there's a problem. So what I will say to parents, the key is getting your child's school file. That's the main thing that you're going to need for anything moving forward, because that, no matter what the teacher wants to say to you that they're doing, let me just get the rice and peas. No matter what the school want to say to you that they're actually doing, that has to be evidence within the child's school file. If it's not evidence in the child's school file that all the things that they claim that they're doing, then you can take up issue with that and actually go through it with them and say, well, look, you said that my child is receiving counselling due to, my mum dying or whatever, 3 times a week for half an hour or an hour. I don't see any evidence of this in the file. So can you please show me what impact it's having on my child when this is taking place? So just be on the board. Don't be afraid to ask any questions, and the thing is also, sometimes you will expect to get a backlash from the head teacher. You will expect where they will then start being more aggressive with your child. Sometimes it's because they don't like us challenging them. They don't like to see a black woman coming in or a black man coming in to challenge them. And you could be the most calmly spoken, softly spoken person in the world. They'll probably turn around and tell you that you're aggressive. So it's fine. Never go to a meeting alone. Always bring someone. You can drag someone off the street if necessary. Just don't go to that meeting by yourself, and make sure you always have a witness to what's going on. So, So make sure that you go with someone, take notes, and then if necessary, then you send back an email. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. As agreed, 1, 2, 3, XYZ. This is what's in there. Just being on the board, but without you having that file and seeing what's going on, interacting with your child's teacher. I know with secondary age children, it's slightly different because, they go to and from school by themselves, but it is still something where when you get the file, that's when you actually engage with the head more, or the head of year, or if it's a special educational need area, then you will more likely liaise with the SEND department. That's special educational needs for those that I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah. Thank you. And in your
that if you're a parent and you have a child and you feel that child does have additional needs and you're not sure what it is, I get this a lot where parents are like, well, there's something with my child. He either won't sit still or she won't. I will tell her to do something 700 times and they're still not getting it. They're struggling with their work, whatever. Most schools can't be bothered to go through the assessment process because for them to get an ed psych could cost about £2,000. So they would rather not do that. However, sometimes if they're going to jump straight to that, your child is entitled to get an individual learning plan. So that's when they put together a program specifically tailored to your individual child, whether that's getting a TA or learning support or someone to deal with their behavior. That is something that the school can do, and it costs them nothing. That's what they should do as the first base. From there, if you're still not finding it, you're still not getting the diagnostics, a lot of parents go to their doctors, and some parents go to CAMS. However, the issue with CAMS is there is a up to 3-year waiting list before your child could even be seen, let alone to be assessed. If you feel that, because what happens at that time is that 3 years is a long time to wait, your child will be kicked out of school before then if their behaviour is not manageable by the school. So what you do, you go onto your local authority website, or you contact your local education department, and you ask them to send you the educational healthcare plan form. That way you start the process. The school can't ignore it. They have to, by law, send it to them, and they will send a copy to the school. And then it is an approximate 3-month process to go through that whole plan to where it's finalised, sent to the school, and a budget is awarded for your child.
Okay. In your opinion, Cheryl, what is it that you think is missing to facilitate? What do you think is it that's missing within the schools in terms of facilitating our Black children? Do you think that they need more education on our children? What do you think it is that's missing? Why these things are happening?
Missing is a lot. Compassion, care, giving a damn. That's what I feel is missing a lot of the time. And then the unfortunate thing is that I know that there are a lot of teachers, whether they like us or don't, who really, really genuinely want the best for our children. And as soon as they speak up or speak out, they shut down. So by way of missing, I think that a lot of it is down to the care that our children receive. Because when a child, as I've said before, who has additional needs, has those needs, a lot of the time, even with an educational healthcare plan, they're not given the support that they need. They're not given the care and compassion. I've got children that are being bullied, very, very young children that are being bullied in schools in front of teachers, and nothing's happening. They're just allowed to be punched up and beaten up in front of the teachers. And when they respond, our children are the ones that are the aggressors. So I believe that a lot of the care for us as a people in the first place, let alone our innocent children that have to go to these environments on a daily basis, is missing. The curriculum needs to have a complete overhaul, because that curriculum where they're still teaching mice and men, a lot of racist agendas that have been going on from since the education system started are what we still see in our curriculum today. So our children don't identify. Our children don't see themselves in the education system. So why would they want to engage? Listening to King Henry VIII, who was a pedo and all the rest of it, is not something our children want to necessarily engage with. And then when they come to Black History Month, the only thing they want to do is tell them about slavery. So these things are what's missing. Why are they not telling our children about mathematics and sciences and astrology, the fact that we were the creators and inventors of that? Why are they not telling our children that having a weave or a wig on our head is something that Egyptians were doing from way back? Why are they not telling our children that they're Black, even though they want to sit under a sunbed every single day and bun up their skin looking like lobsters, but yet they hate enough for our thick lips and our beautiful hair? So, you know, all of these types of things are what we're missing. But again, remember, we have to remember this, that we're sending our children into their care. This is their system, and their system is perfectly fine. So that's where, for me, I personally would think that we as the parents need to take more responsibility, because we see this happening every day. We see our children dying every single day. We see our children being miseducated every day. We still then insist on handing our children back to these demons to then miseducate them every single day. And particularly those with special ed, it's like they can't speak up as much as our children, who we do encourage to speak up and speak out. And for us, I put it back onto us as parents all the time, because they're doing what they're supposed to do, what they've been programmed to do, from them to the police to social services and all other agencies. Me as a mother, you as parents and fathers, there's churches sitting empty all day, every day, between Monday and Thursday or Wednesday or whatever day of the week it is. Why are we not utilising them to make sure our children are being educated properly? We keep talking about homeschooling and things like that. Those churches are sitting there doing nothing. We've got so many teachers in our community. We need to start engaging with each other as a collective and stop worrying about what this education system is doing. Because what they're doing is what they're meant to do. And they're quite happy with how this thing looks.
Yeah. Guys, if you're in the comments and you do have anything that you want to comment on, please put it in the comments. If you have any questions, just let us know in the comments. We are live on Facebook as well, so hello to our Facebook family. I hope you're all tuned in. Again, put your thoughts in the comments. So Cheryl, explain to us the school to prison pipeline. for those who may have not heard about it and never come across it?
Right, the schools to prison pipeline is a social construct that has been with us for a very long time. I came to terms with the actual term itself when back in 2012, and I could see, and that was from America, so I could see a lot of the Americanisms of the whole country, whether it's our NHS system, whatever it is, we're going to be more and more like America. And the education system, you know, in America, they have charter schools and state schools. It's the same things with academies, church schools and state schools, which the state schools are no longer going to exist. So with that, they're basically private businesses. Now, the schools to prison pipeline is such that you denigrate our children enough to where you get one of two responses. They either turn crazy because they've been locked in isolation on a daily basis, where I've had children with special ed in isolation from the day they've started school. We're now in November. They've never set foot in their classroom. They've been put in isolation on a daily basis. Now, with that, you're going to eventually get a response. They're going to be having multiple exclusions. You're allowed up to 45 exclusions in any one academic term. Some schools, I've had a case where a school excluded a young autistic boy, primary school, for 35 days at once. Now, if he got excluded 10 times, then that's it, he's out of school. Then they end up in the pupil referral units, PRUs, centres, whatever people want to call them. Now, these places are a hotbed for violence, drugs, bad attitudes. If your child is in there and your child was in school and gifted and talented and they end up in one of these places, they'll be lucky if they receive even a basic D grade on a GCSE. And less than 1% of children go to pupil referral units leave with any meaningful qualifications. So with that, it's very easy to be groomed, and this is where a lot of the grooming takes place. Even at most of these school gates, a lot of the grooming takes place by older pupils or even people that don't even attend the school. Children carrying, oh, do you want £20? Do you want me to buy a box of chicken and chips? The most vulnerable. Then they go from there. From there, you can easily be arrested. Now you've got a criminal record for something basic. And or the system decides that they want to make an example of you and your child, or you as a family. Your child goes to prison for what, 10 to 12 months or 6 months, whatever it is. That's there. Right now, I've just broken down the schools to prison pipeline in less than 5 minutes. It's a very, very subtle concept, but for me it's very, very blatant. The constant exclusions, the constant berating of black children, the fact that they're always teaching them about slavery and nothing else, the fact that nothing they do is right, the fact that girls' natural hair can't be out in school and they're put in isolation or an exclusion. It just builds up until in the end, when you actually read what they're writing, remember we have to look at the language, and you see everything that they're writing about your child, you've got a file that's bigger than, remember, the yellow pages, and it's all low-level destruction. But miss, this person hit me first and I told him to stop it, get out of the class. So these are the things that build up to your child not being in school, ending up in PRUs or on the road because they're not even in school at all. I've had children that haven't been put in school for 18 months. Boom, they end up on the street life, doing county lines from some as young as 12. And then there you have your schools to prison pipeline right there.
One of the things that really shocked me that I did not even realize, was happening was last week when you came on and I was looking through the website and you spoke about it. I didn't realize that children that had a problem were being penalized as well. Like, I didn't realize how big of a problem that was. I thought that, schools were there to help children that need, the most help, and to know that if my child has an issue or a disability and they're black, like, it's a double-edged sword that it's working against them. Talk to us about that, because I don't know if anyone else knew that, but for me that was so surprising.
Well, statistically, right now, what you're talking about and what you've described is one of the biggest statistics out there. Right now, Gypsy and Traveller children have the highest excluded rate of children in the country, then followed by Black, African and Caribbean boys and those with special educational needs. Now, that says a lot in itself. The fact that this can even be a case, this shouldn't even be a statistic, because that just tells you in itself that children are not receiving the support and help that they're due and they're supposed to, which is why I've spent most of this lockdown online in disability discrimination cases at the High Court, because this is just, it's hard to actually comprehend, but at the same time it's not. There's nothing these people do anymore that surprises me. And I don't know why, with what's going on in America, what's going on here amongst our children killing each other and the shootings and the stabbing, none of it is shocking to me anymore. My only question is, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do different? How are we going to take back charge of our young people and where they're going? Because the private prison system, and the prison system in itself, 68% of young people in the prison system have an undiagnosed mental health condition that should have been diagnosed from school. These are the same people that have been permanently excluded from school for minor infractions. When you look at the files, you're like, but why is this child not in school? And a lot of the time it's because, you know, when our young boys in particular start school at a particular age and they're small and their uniforms drown in them and their face is shiny because their mum put a whole heap of cocoa butter on their skin, and then by the time they're in year 8, they're 6'3", and now all of a sudden, according to Becky, the teacher, they're intimidating. I didn't feel comfortable being around him. You know, they've got all of these things that they use to tarnish our children before they've even started their lives. When we really look at our lifespan, some people are living until they're 100 years old. Our children are 9, 10, 11, and 12. And you're talking about this 10 and 12-year-old is intimidating you. And it's all it was asked, you miss, why are you kicking me out of the classroom? What have I actually done? So these are the things that I see with regards to particularly children with special educational needs who sometimes don't even understand what's going on, because then you have children who are processing. They can't process everything that's been said, but yet you have a teacher screaming and shouting at them. But then you'll find with autistic children in particular, they'll cover their ears because they don't like a lot of loud noises. They don't really care. I've had cases of children where these kids will bang their heads against the wall, take a pen and actually start scratching out their arms and actually cover their ears and hide under the desk. And these teachers feel it's okay, and they take that child by the ankle and drag them out. This is the reality of what's going on in our education system today towards Black children. And then the thing is, my thing is with, I say to parents all the time, why did you send your child back? Why would you send your child back? And a lot of them, I get it, you have to work. You know, you can't work. You're a single mom, you've got to have that support around you where you can get someone to look after your kids during the day. I'm sorry, the 90 pounds going to have to go, because if you end up with your child killing themselves, because there's a lot of issues with self-harm in our community, which a lot of people don't talk about, but self-harm amongst our Black boys and girls.
Cheryl?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're losing you a little bit. We couldn't hear you very well.
Oh, you can hear me better. It's because I was standing in the garden lighting the barbecue.
Okay.
Do you know what? Because I'm cooking, I told you, look, because I'm cooking for these people. I'll give you a quick rundown of today's menu. For those of you that aren't meat eaters, cover your ears. But we're doing beef ribs, we're doing curry mutton and rice and peas. We're doing grilled fish, and salad and plantain, and fried chicken wings, salt and pepper chicken wings. So, and macaroni cheese.
That sounds good.
Meat eaters.
And did you say that you do it for the community? Yes.
Yeah. So what it is, I have like my son started this as a little business himself last year. So what we do is we buy a bit extra to make sure that those that are vulnerable in our community, like where we live, and I think I go as far as Harrow, I'm in Northwest London, then we make sure that we deliver the food to them whenever we cook. And even down the road, one of my son's really good friends, she lost her son due to gun violence, so we make sure that she's always sorted. So yeah, we basically try and make sure we can do what we can, what little bit we can, to make sure that everybody gets a proper meal, you know. And even if it is only 2 days a week, we can do what we can in it. Yeah. So that's why you can see me backwards and forwards and doing whatever. But I'm still here. Hello, and I've been banned on Facebook. It lasted about a week. I think I've been back on Facebook for 1 week, and now I'm banned again. So
why are they banning you on Facebook?
They're always banning me. They're talking about community standards when they don't have no standards themselves. I'm forever on Facebook just for talking the truth. It's all I do is put out facts. That's all I deal with. I don't deal with emotions. It's just facts. And then boom, you're banned against our community guidelines and standards. It's like, F your community guidelines and standards. We have to have our own. I know there is another site out there, but I know it hasn't got the same following. But we're going to do. I still have another page, so if people want to find me, they can find me via that one.
Perfect. Okay. So I know you did touch on earlier. You spoke about children being groomed. How can we parents be identify that's happening to our child. Because I've got a son, he's going into secondary school in September. And, you know, as parents, we want to make sure that's not happening, because I realize as Black children, they're the friends that people go to try and groom. So how can we avoid that? Or how can we identify that?
That's the thing. Like, identifying is a lot of the time, if they're coming in with things that don't belong to them, that you didn't buy or give them, having extra money on them. And one of the things to say, which a lot of parents, you know, because we're all new age parents these days, is going in their room. They're on social media, get the login and details and go on their social media pages and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Check their text messages, check their WhatsApp, check their, what's that yellow one? Snapchat.
Yeah.
You know, that's, you have to be a private investigator to just see who they're around. And I did it to my boys. I don't know if they can hear me. I did it to them when they were that age. But their social media was so boring. It was just them talking to girls, to be fair. But, you know, I had to see, and you have to know as a parent, see who they're hanging around with. One of the key things I say to parents is, like, how many of your children's friends do you actually know? How many of them are invited to your home? Now, I know as parents, we want our houses to be pristine at all times and all hours. I was that parent that my son's friends could come to the house, because I wanted to see who they're moving with, who they're interacting with, who these people's parents are, what they get up to, their thought processes, what they're thinking about, and how they think life is okay or not. And then I would have a, oh, do you think that one's all right? Are you sure you're going to hang with them? Because you know that blah, blah, blah. You know, you have it as a conversation rather than a challenge with them. And then they will start thinking, oh, you're right. You know, oh, are they getting arrested all the time? No, because, you know, they're never going to be able to get a job properly, you know. And, you know, all of these types of things, just so that they start sowing the seed in their own mind of who they actually want to be around and what type of environment they want to be in. And then you'll start seeing that the numbers of friends that come to the house will drop. And those, my sons are now 29 down to 23, and they still got a lot of the same friends that they had when they were in school. The other ones fell by the wayside, but they still talk to them, but that's not their brethren that they will move with or go on holiday with and go to Soka Fete and all the things that these guys do. So that was how I did it, to make sure that that grooming doesn't even understand. And to be honest with you, there was a time where I think it was one of my middle ones, and I sat down in my living room. I tell the story all the time because it's like I couldn't believe it. And a cigarette box fell out. Now, you know, our children are going to try smoking, they're going to try weed, they're going to do it. So just be prepared for it and know how to deal with it when it comes. And a cigarette box fell out on the floor, and a piece of crack came out of it. And I was like, what? So me being me, I went absolutely nuts. Not at my son's. I went down the road and knocked on the door of one of, like, an older guy, because by 14, 15, it's like they're not hearing you.
Yes.
And I was like, listen, you need to talk to my son, you need to come to my house, come speak to my son about this. And they basically broke it down to them about the implications of trying to get involved with certain things.
Yes.
And then with that, I didn't have that problem again. But then what I did find is that there was one of the local guys who's well known, who tried it with one of my sons. And to be honest with you, I was a hothead when I was younger, and I can be a hothead now. I went to his house with a piece of 4x4 and told him that I was going to smash his head in if he comes near my sons again. And that was really, and so that I didn't have that problem. And I know that's not necessarily the right way to deal with it, if that's how you, but then for me, it worked for me and it worked for my sons. Because I said to that guy, I'm not burying none of my kids, and I'm not going to have you controlling them. So that's kind of how I dealt with it, because it does happen, but not in my house.
Yeah. I think that you touched on a good point, and someone mentioned it in the comments as well. Like having a great support system around you in order, especially if you have boys. What are your thoughts on that in terms of having support system in order to, like, something that example that you gave, going to one of the elders in the community or man and saying, like, come talk to them to let them know the implications? How important is that?
I think it's key. But do you know, the thing is, like, we always talk about our children not having anywhere to go. What I did, I got proactive, and I started a youth club where I live in our local community centre. And I said to them, listen, you have children sitting here empty most evenings. Give me it 3 hours a day. I did 2 days a week, and because I just need 3 hours, so our children are not on the road. That way, then I can control who my children are hanging around with. They didn't see it like that, which is great, because they had a good time. We did a lot of stuff around Black history, music production, because, you know, every young person wants to be a rap artist. So I was like, that's cool. You do rapping around our history. You do rapping about who you see out there in the public eye, who inspires you. And it doesn't have to just be Jay-Z and Beyonce or whoever was around at that time. So it's a case of just being 10 steps ahead and creative rather than waiting for the problem to come to you, seeing what's going on, being in tune with what's going on around your children's school and around your local area. And, you know, always having that open dialogue with your children, always speaking to them, not questioning and probing and really being aggressive with it, because that's not going to get you far. They'll just shut down and not tell you anything. And even you're going to hear some stories that you'll be surprised that your children are even aware of what's going on. Young people from 10 and 11 actually having, you know, relations, and it wouldn't even be called relations, girls in parks, giving men and boys doing certain things. So these are the things that my they still come and tell me what's going on. They've heard about such and such, and if we know the parents, we go and try and sit down with them. Some parents are in denial, but it is having that open dialogue and speaking, getting to know your neighbors. I know, like, my youngest son is a classic for this, where he will go to, like, we've got some good neighbors, and we made sure we made that a possibility. By where we live, we get to know our neighbors. We had gardening competitions. So these things may sound all nostalgic, but this is what I did because I wanted to make sure my children grew in a community. So you can't walk down the street here and not say hello to at least 10 people by the time you get to the end of the road, because we made sure that we knew everyone. All the kids know each other, all the parents know each other. And rather than waiting on someone to do that for us, we need to get back into that mindset of how our, like we always say about how our elders grew up. Good morning, Mrs. Francis. Good morning, Mr. Blah, blah. That's standard where I am. Why? Because we created it. Because I chose to. I wanted my children to grow up in a community, and that's what I created.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been seeing a lot, especially with what's been going on in America, is that, and I have an uncle who lives in America, and he has a son as well. And one of the conversations one time that he says that he had to have with his son, who is 7, 8 years old, was how to, you know, deal with the police when they're stopped and so forth. Now, we don't have the same issues that they do in America, but what do you feel is important conversations that we need to be having with our girls and our boys that is imperative in order to make sure that they get through life in where we live and the community that we live in?
I think that conversation is a key one. I had that conversation with my children when they were about 8 or 9. And, you know, when they start to go to the shop by themselves, etc., etc. And they did go through the search process with police, police harassment, my oldest son, who went to do his law degree, who got slammed down by police when I sent him to the shop to buy a loaf of bread. The unfortunate thing is this is going to be part of their reality, whether they like it or not. It's going to be an inevitability for our children. They're going to be profiled. They go, you know, it's sad that it is that way, but it is. So we need to be like, right, okay, we've got stop and search cards as well that my children happily give out to some of the younger generation, so that they're aware of what their rights are, how to speak to police, you know, how to communicate, because not all the officers are going to be respectful. We understand that. Then what do you do about that? As parents, we tend to not do much. Me, I wrote straight to the borough commander. You know, those, you know, you have to be on it like Sonnet. If there is a problem, then you go through the official channels. Is anything going to really happen of it? Not really, but at least you've allowed your child to see that they can't just do what they want. And I did give a complaint. And I remember running youth club. We just finished youth club. A lot of the kids were just finishing. They were just standing up chatting. Unarmed police car with guns came out, held a gun to my son's head, stepped on his foot, and his friends were pushing them around. And then it was someone who was at my house, someone on the road came running down and was like, Cheryl, the police have got your sons and some of their friends. I've gone up there now, took their details. They were really very rude and disrespectful. I was like, all right, then cool. At that time, I was the chair of my local residents association as well. So I had regular meetings with all of these people that came to be in power. Email went off straight away. By the next day, that same officer and his friends were back. They shouldn't even been in our area. They were supposed to be in central London. To come back and apologize to my children, you know. So these sorts of things, like, we have to, like, for me, I put it back to us. Like this, we know what the system is about. We know that the system is designed to fail us. We know that the system is racist. Unless we now are going to actually do something different, we're going to be having these conversations in 100 years' time. Whereas every other community gets the same problem, not as much, like if they're darker skin, but they just work within themselves to actually get better. And it's like, you know what? forget the system, let's do for self and let's build for self. But we'll take some of your system money at the same time to make sure that we can build for self, because we've invested in the system for how many hundreds of years, whatever it's been. People say, oh yeah, we don't want to be begging them nothing. And it's like, well, hold on a minute. I think 500 years of free labor is not begging anyone anything. Now that we're not flipping working for free, all of a sudden we're scavengers. That's fine. Give me our money to put in our community. Where I live, the Asian community, we give them £3.5 million for under BAME funding. All of a sudden, because whenever people, and I know a guy in central London, he gets £3.5 million per year because he uses the word BAME, Black and Minority Ethnic. As soon as he gets that money, once a year, he will invite a whole black organization to come down, takes a lot of pictures of them, sends that to the funders to say, oh yeah, look, we make sure we include the BAME community, and then that's it. Each year, he doesn't do anything in our community, he does nothing with us. You understand what I'm saying? So these things we need to be on. There's buildings sitting empty all over the place. Why are we not applying for them? You get a 100-year lease under the community fund. These buildings are sitting empty. We're the only ones not actually going forward. Some of it is lack of knowledge, I get that, but that's why I'm talking up the things today. There's buildings that are by local authorities that are sitting there, and you can apply. You set yourself up as an organization or a charity. You can actually apply for those buildings. They give you a 100-year lease, and on top of that, you get 80% off of any bills or business rates or anything that you have to pay, and council tax. You don't pay tax when you're a charity. This is how a lot of the Asian businesses are getting a lot of money and buildings. We think they're taking the money out their pocket. Hell no. Hell no are they. When I was running to be a local councillor, see, I could talk about this for ages. When I was running to be a local councillor and I got voted in, and it wasn't supposed to be, it was corrupt. So my house was raided twice. 2 days after I got voted in, my front door was kicked in by police. And then the following week on a Thursday, my front door was kicked in yet again because all of a sudden we were drug dealing. Anywho, what I did find out was that a lot of this, there's funding pots by local authorities. These are only going to their people, depending on who's leading that council. And then we're the only ones that don't hear about it. And they've been specifically earmarked for the black community, for black males, for black females. And then we've got agents and everybody else getting this money and using it within their community, getting these buildings and using it within their community. And then what do we do about it? There's nothing that we can do because it's already been spent. And that's just another tick box.
Yeah. That someone said it in the comments, like, that's fantastic to know. I feel like a lot of us do not know what is out there, what we can do, what's available, and there's so much more we could be doing if we just knew this information. Thank you for letting us know that.
Yeah, that's brilliant out there.
Was you going to say something that came up before?
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. I appreciate your words. Absolutely. There's a few things that come to my mind when you're speaking. And you've got like a lot of knowledge, which is absolutely wonderful. And I think you said that not just long ago, how not many of us have that type of knowledge. Not many of us have that confidence as well to approach schools or speak to teachers, or, you know, kind of even doing that research. So I feel like I want to kind of put emphasis on mental health and getting that support for yourself as a parent, as an adult, as a young child, because I feel like if we start working on that, that will help us build that confidence to then do what we need to do. If that makes sense.
With you 100%. There is a lot of parents who are not confident at all that I come into contact. Do you know what's quite funny? There's a lot of the time when I speak to parents who aren't confident, but when I'm on the phone to them, they want to kick down everybody. They want to hold the world to rights. They want butts down the teacher. They want to do everything. As soon as we walk in the classroom, as soon as we walk in the meeting, they've gone mute, completely mute. They're frightened to even look up. And I believe that a lot of it is down to, you know, with how our parents were and how their parents were, and just that fear of these people. And it's like, but the thing is, the problem I find with that is that their children are now looking at them behaving like this. And then their children, because I remember being in a school and this is exactly what happened. The mum had her head down, and the daughters across the way, she was quite mouthy. And she was just looking at the mum like, later. You know, you could just tell the look on the face, like, later, she ain't got no time. So that kind of made the child even worse, because the child's now going to act up even more, because they see that mum or dad or whoever doesn't have the confidence to speak to the teacher. And that is a massive problem. And that's not necessarily my forte, to try and train parents on how to speak. But then when they're in my presence and they hear how I communicate with the school teachers, and I'm quite unapologetic, I'm not aggressive. And then thank you. And then they see how I interact with them, and they're just blown away. But then over time, when they realize, and I give them the opportunity, I'm like, right, look, I'm going to get you to speak, particularly when we're in the courts. You need to speak. And they're like, no, 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 no. But once you give them the floor, rotted. I had a parent speak straight for 45 minutes. He could name you every single date, every single time, what happened, what was said, who it was said by, how it was said, who was she could. And then sometimes they just need to know that you're there, and then boom, they're ready. And they will challenge them, and they take it on. And she felt so much after she burst into tears. She felt, because it's a lot of relief, and you just let it go. But it is good when I do see them do that. I'm just like, yes, mama, go on with yourself.
I love that. And I would definitely encourage you to, if you can, reach out to mental health organizations, particularly Black ones or even African-centered ones that are there to support, who can support these people that you work with. And you're right. If you and it's interesting you're saying about the parent that held their head down and their daughter was there. Subconsciously, how does that child internalize that about their parent? Does that make sense? So we come from our parents. If their self-esteem, I'm not saying that person was, but if their self-esteem is low, we learn how to have self-esteem from our parents, from our caregivers, from the people around us. So if it's low, in confidence and self-esteem is two different things, by the way, but they do overlap. But if their self-esteem is low, how is that child, how is that young person going to learn to then have good self-esteem? You know, they're not, unless they reach out to certain services. So yes, yeah. I am an advocate for that. So you're happy to reach out to me if you want to, Cheryl. I love working on self-esteem. I love working with people and confidence and just changing their ways of thinking to help them think more balanced, because that is very important. But yeah, because you did reel off a list earlier of different people that you have in your team, if you like, or different resources that you have that you can rely on. So mental health might be one strand that I would definitely encourage you to look at, definitely, because I feel like there's a trauma in our community that's happening intergenerationally. Sorry, you're going to say something, Cheryl?
Yeah, I have a list of psychologists, counselors. Who else are there? Psychologists, counselors, except people that deal with mental health as well, or health and things like that. There's a few people, about 12 or 15 of them, who I do tap into, depending on the area they're in. Adding to that is not, it needs to be added to. Even a solicitor, there's about 20 something of them. It needs to be added to. We need them up and down, so that if there is one parent, then there's 20 solicitors, boom, ready. If there's one child that needs a psychologist, you know, because what I do when they go into schools as well is that when they said they want an educational psychologist, depending on the borough, if I can find one that looks like us, that's who we're using. If the child needs a counsellor and they say, oh, we're going to use our own, no, we've got our own, we will use this one, she's qualified, does she have her paperwork? Absolutely. So that's what we try and do, and they get the best support that they need. And the good thing is they know who I am and what I stand for, so they're like, absolutely, you know. And a lot of the solicitors are the same, because we can have solicitors all day, we can have psychologists all day, but it doesn't mean they're for our community. So that's right. Why the ones handpicked are those that know what time it is and what we stand for, or what at least the Black Child Agenda stands for, and they're quite unapologetic in their stance as well, which is refreshing to know.
I love that. And there are some people, unfortunately, who look like us who are not for us, and I'm sure you are, and you probably met many of them. And it is disheartening, but I'm kind of glad that people show their true colors, because I want to pluck out the weeds out of the beautiful greenery that we have. So yeah.
No, I get that. No, definitely. Go on.
I was going to say, I'd like to point that you touched on, Nikema, in terms of is there work being done as well with the parent? family, sometimes it might not be that, as Cheryl said, she works with parents that do have two-parent households, that are lawyers, that are doctors, and still their children are being targeted. I feel like exactly what you said, when their children is going through this, it's important to be able to build the whole family. So sometimes it's even subconsciously that we're showing something as a parent that our child has picked up on.
Yeah,
is one of the issues. So I like that you touched on that as well, Nikema. Like, it's the whole family thing, isn't it?
Oh my goodness gracious me, because I feel there's a destruction of the Black family happening, whether they're in the US, whether we're in England, all over the world even, you know. So I feel like if we can build up the household, when we're looking at educational knowledge, when we're looking at economical knowledge, you know, mental health, if we can really do that work in ourselves, on ourselves, and start in the household, it will be a powerhouse. And then we'll grow, and our strength will just keep going, because we are absolutely fantastic. The Black community are absolutely phenomenal. And I think that there's pockets of us doing phenomenal things, and I feel like there needs to be a merge. And this pandemic, I think, can potentially push us into that framework.
And again, this is what I spoke on before Cheryl came on, is this is the work that ISC want to do. You know, build that household, build the women, build the men, build the children. Miss B, tailor-made in the comments.
Nice.
So thank you, sis. That is very true. Unity does start in the home. So talking about home, Cheryl, what is your take on homeschooling and is it flexi schooling? So talk to us about that, homeschooling and flexi schooling.
So flexi schooling is where you make an arrangement with the school to send your child to school part-time. So your child can go to school half day, or they can go to school 2 or 3 days a week, and then you home educate the rest of the time. And or you can ed full-time. So my views are, if I could do my family all over again, I wouldn't have sent them to school ever. Because what I find is, even with my son, for example, he's got a 10-year-old who's his adoptive daughter, and also a baby who's 1. Now, the 10-year-old, we sat down waiting for our lunch, and he gave a maths equation, and it was something like 660 million divided by 224,500,000. You know, this child done it in less than 5 minutes with a notepad and a pen. That was a piece of tissue and a pen. She worked out the equation. Now, I said to my son, why don't you send her to school? Because I know she didn't learn this in school. Because the things that they're doing in school is not anything close to what he teaches her at home. And the funny thing is that when we say our children, mostly our children are gifted and talented in the education system when they arrive in school. And the fact is because we as parents are very competitive with ourselves and with the world, because we know that you know how it already goes, you have to work 10 times harder, etc., etc. So we've already got that built into our psyche. So we make sure we impart that on our children just naturally. My children's 10 months old walking does algebra, you know, so we do that as a natural thing. So that's probably the main reason why I'm such a big encourager and advocate of home education. It's not about sitting down behind a desk. It is about getting creative with your learning. It is about getting out in the garden and planting food. It is about going to learn Forex trading or something like that. It is about, if your child is absolutely amazing at technology, you encourage them to do technology rather than do, even if it's geography, or rather than do history. They may have no interest and don't really care. You know, but then you have to do that way. You get to control what they want to do. Yes, they should do maths, English, and science. You can go and lead on maths, English, and science with that. Here we go. The front door's going now. We can lead on. They should get all of that, but by way of core subjects. I'm all right, you know, but I'm on a call. Sorry, guys, I'm on a call. Who are you looking for? Oh, let me call him. I'm coming. Wait, give me a sec. All right. Sorry. See, I'm come for food. In regards to maths, English, and science, you know, you can go to learning centers for that. You know, if you're not a parent that's academically gifted, you go to a learning center, you get yourself a childminder if you have to go to work full time. You get a childminder, or what they will call nanny sometimes. My children had a nanny as well because I used to work. And you basically work it that way. So there's ways and means everything you need to do. You may be in a one-parent household and homeschooling is completely not an option for you. This is where I say that we need to build up our village. This is where I say that this share parental responsibility with those that look like us, who we can trust with our children. So that's kind of how I see and how I would approach home ed if I had to do it all again. And you know, becoming a widow, etc., I would have to find it that way. And I basically did create my community.
I'm with you on that. I don't have any children yet, but when I do have children, I will certainly be homeschooling them. I would not put them through the system. No.
I think this is a constant battle for myself, because over the last couple of years that I've been thinking about it, because I've got 4 children, and I keep playing with the idea of homeschooling, not to homeschool. And I think it's more down to lack of knowledge on, and as well lack of confidence that I'm going to be doing the right thing. But definitely since this lockdown, I've realized that actually there's so much that I can do. There's so much that I am doing without even noticing that I was doing it. And for sure, education starts with the parents. So no one can educate our children like we can. So
and also there's a homeschool network locally to where we live, and I think it's just Black children. So yeah, if you want me to give you the link for that, I'll be happy for you to speak to those ladies. I've been doing it for years.
I know there's one in Norwood as well. I'm not from South London, but I know there's a lot going on in South. And then a lot of the time, what parents need to understand, when you're homeschooling, a lot of these children do so many activities. They go museum, they're going to play steel pans, they're going down to the BBC. And a lot of these establishments actually accommodate, particularly for home ed children. You know, all of the during the day for the home edders, because they know that there is a lot. So you build up, that's the network. You build that group with other parents, and then boom, you go as a group. If you can't go today, then you take, you know, just Kwana, and you take her and you get her back, and then tomorrow Kwame can be picked up. You understand what I'm saying? That's how we have to work it. We have to get back to that village mentality, because you know it works. It did work for us. You know, I know we have to be independent women, I know we have to work, but there's a way of working it. It's like your child ended up in the prison system or the mental health institution or dead, for us really taking control and not allowing that to happen. And I'm not saying that's either or, that if your child goes to school, they're going to end up in that. But I would rather know that I'm basically directing my children's future rather than relying on these people that hate us to do that for us.
Yeah. So what's your next steps in terms of what you're doing at the moment, Cheryl? I know that you said you're doing a lot of work, even now whilst we're in lockdown. What's next for the Black Child Agenda?
Well, we're doing a lot. We're actually looking internationally. We're looking also at building Black Child Agenda pods up and down the country, so I don't have to travel all the time. Getting people trained up to be part of the Black Child Agenda team, so that because people want to be able to do it. Some people think they can do it part-time. You can't. It is a full-time thing, because you could have a case that comes in today, you need to attend court tomorrow, or not necessarily court, but a hearing straight away. So you need to be able to be as flexible as possible. People that can do it part-time are mostly our counsellors. So for us, it's actually, for me right now, it's actually establishing that team properly. And the lockdown has allowed me to have the time to actually do that. Whereas I've had so many people on my line and in my inbox, I'd love to get involved, I'd love to support. But because I haven't been able to follow up, then these get missed. So I'm at a position now where this is going to be the reality. We're going to expand. I want to have at least a team of 150, which is very, very good. And then, you know, we'll literally work from there and make sure from the education side, because I know there's been talks of schools, it can be our own schools. I'm like, in that team, there needs to be someone that can do that. You guys, that's your department. You go and sort out the school side of things. Someone that wants to keep finance, right, that's your department, maybe you do that. So we're going to establish establishments. And that's the next step for the Black Child Agenda. That's where I'm looking to go, down that road, because we've already built the brand, we've already built the name, it's been recognized, and that is good. And it's kind of happened by accident or divine intervention. The universe hasn't been sleeping. So I'm going to take it and do as much as we can and look at our international on the continent, what we can do there, and actually build what we have to do out there as well. Because our children need to understand, like, forget this place, fun England, as they were saying, fun this place. You forget you can fit England out there how many times, how many hundreds of times. So we ain't got time for this place with these beasts. Come, we have to let them go. You know what I mean? A relationship ain't working. Let it go, girl. Let it go.
Yeah.
That's what time it is. Now work.
It now work.
It's true.
What a divorce.
Yeah.
Thanks. And we want our stuff back. Give me my stuff. I'm not going halves. I want all my stuff back.
Definitely. Just having a look, see if there's any questions in the comments. We've got Melanie to Goddess said, bring back the village. Like Cheryl said, so that's it. Bring back the village, definitely. That's what we need to be building. Yeah.
I agree about the village, but build the village. If the village ain't just going to appear, you have to build it. We have to build it. It's not going to appear unless we decide who's my neighbor, who's my neighbor's children. Oh, come round for dinner. I'll come round like Sunday. You know, come and do something. Let me get to know who you are. Invite the parents over. This village is just practical, basic day-to-day things. We don't have to wait 10 years for that village to be built. We build it today. There's nothing stopping us. We'll do it now. Stop waiting.
In your experience with dealing with parents and so forth, what do you feel like is stopping us as a community in building these villages?
I think we're just waiting on something. I don't know what that is. Could be Jesus. I don't know what it is. But we're waiting on something. And whatever that is, it's not coming. You have to go out and get it. You have to create it. It's not coming. Whatever it is you're waiting for, you don't be waiting for Jesus for 500 years. It still ain't shit. So you don't need to go and find something else. Stop waiting on things and go and get up and do it. Same way how you tell their children that they need to go and tidy their room. They have to get up and do it now. You can't wait for the room to just magically tidy itself. And we as adults need to be the same. Same way how you know you've got to get up in the morning and go and do a 9 to 5 because you know that there's going to be a reward at the end of it, at the end of the month. They pay you 3 weeks, so that the last week of the month you get that money and then you're broke again 3 weeks later. It's the same way. Now you need to get up and go and create that village. And if you don't, if you refuse, then you know it's going to be on us. Who else are we going to blame? I can't blame Boris Johnson how my children are raised. I can't blame anybody but me because they're in my house. Sorry, hold on.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's true. You're right. We can't blame anyone. Just like we put too much on the schooling system. I remember when, like, every time I go to my son, he's 11, and I go to his parents' evening, and they're like, he's really smart, and they're telling me, I'm like, you don't have to tell me how smart my child is. My child.
Interesting. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, like,
and I argue that there might be some parents, or the majority of parents, don't know their children, and teachers feel that they have to teach parents. Do the parents even like that? But I'm not sure. That's really interesting.
Yeah, like you can't. I don't go to a parent for you to tell me how great my child's doing because I already know that. So actually, I stopped going to them in terms of I will tell you what's going on with my child.
Lovely.
It's not anything that you're doing in the school. It's actually what's being done at home. So yeah, I feel like we give them too much privilege in terms of what they think is what needs to be done with your child. We got Melanie who's joined. Welcome, Queen. Welcome.
Bless up everyone on the panel. Bless up everyone in the chat. It's a pleasure to join you ladies. I've been really enjoying this show. I mean, the subject matter is definitely near and dear to my heart. You know, and although my child he's what you would call a young man. He's a young man now, and but my passion is always with the youth. You know, that's my place of employment. I work with the youth, and I have been working with the youth probably, I'm gonna say something like the last 15 years maybe. I've been a foster care social worker. I've been a family therapist. Right now I work with incarcerated youth, and so I'm definitely that's my passion, and I listening to the Queen Cheryl, I was thinking to myself, this is my second year in my community, but I don't really know my neighbors. I don't really know the people, everyone just kind of goes in and out of their front door, going through their garage, and we don't really know each other. And it's a very diverse little small community where that we do have. I know that they're like Black families here. We're kind of sprinkled out throughout the, you know what I'm saying, sprinkled out. And not to say that, like children are children. So not to say that I wouldn't want to help children who are not Black. But I do feel like when you're in an environment where you might be, let's say 20% of the population or 15% of the population, those Black children, I know that in the school system, they experience different things. I experienced it with my own child. My child experienced being called the N-word in elementary school, middle school twice by someone who was non-Black. And just yesterday, I was on a live panel, and I told a story of when my son was in high school, and a teacher accused him of being threatening, and she accused him of being threatening. And when I went to the meeting and I said, well, what did he do that was threatening? Because I raised him better than that. Let me know. I'm going to handle that. What did he do? She had nothing to say. I said, did he cuss you? Did he say profanity, use profanity towards you? She said, no. I said, was his fist balled up, or was he approaching you or anything? She was like, no. I said, so what did he do that was threatening? She had nothing. I said, so he just standing there with his Black skin and he was threatening? She didn't. How am I supposed to do with that? What am I supposed to do with that? What am I supposed to tell him? Don't be Black?
Exactly.
So I know that my experience or his experience is not unique. I know that these other little sprinkles of Black children over in this area, they experience this too. But Sister Cheryl, you gotta tell me how I'm supposed to find these kids. I don't know. Like, I just be in my house, and whoever he brings over, I try to mother them. So his friends that come over, whether it's exposing them to different foods or just letting them know that this is a safe place, I open my arms and my home to them. But I don't really know how the first step in connecting with these families in my area. I don't.
Cheryl, what would you say to that?
Go to their house and introduce yourself. Hi, my name is blah blah. I live down the road. My son's name is blah blah. He's this age, and that's it. Or what you do, like what I did, like I said, I used my local community center and I leafleted all the houses down here and said, thank you, babe, and told them, hello, we're here. This is what we're doing. Bring your kids. Literally, you could do something even in your garden. If you have a front garden, you may not want everyone running through your house, or back garden. This is who I am. This is where we live. Oh gosh, my screen keeps turning off. This is where we live. Bring your kids. I have sons who are this age and that age. And sons or daughters who are this age and that age, play date, whatever it may be. I just made myself available to who was there, and like I said, did flyers and whatever else it was to engage with those that is where I lived. And that was literally as simple as that. Everyone wants their children to have friends wherever they live, and then you get to know who the parents are, or contact the parents and speak to them about who you are. And that's probably the easiest way to do it. Just get out and get engaged.
I gotta think about it, because my child is a little bit. He's not a little bit. He's a lot bit younger. I mean older. So he's not in the age to have play date.
When we say play dates, it's just having your friends round. Like even now, them would say, their friends are passing through and they're in their 20s. They don't grow. They grow, but they don't. They can still do it. Even at 15, 16, what are they into? Online gaming, PlayStation, whatever the interest is of your child, I can guarantee you most children are involved in it. Most children are involved in this online gaming thing. You do a game night. Do you understand what I'm saying? You just get creative. There's ways and means for everything. Speak to your son, find out what he likes, and then just execute it.
Even start small. Doesn't have to be quite large. You can start small.
No, be surprised. It could be 2 people, and then they might tell one of their friends. And then once you kind of vet the friends as well, I'm not saying that you just open the door to anyone that wants to come by. You kind of vet them. Oh, who are they? Who are their parents? Where do they live? Oh, la la la. And then you start vetting them. But then
one of my like personal passions. Don't judge me, you guys. One of my personal passions is jumping double dutch, right?
Nice.
I always wanted to learn how to do that.
So I'm thinking that maybe I could just like maybe solicit like young girls and their mothers through double dutch.
Yeah. If I was
that makes sense to me. I want to come. I love double dutch. When I lived in New York for years, that used to be one of the greatest. You'd be surprised. I'm coming.
Oh, Cheryl, that's where I'm from. I'm from Brooklyn, so you know how we get down.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Double dutch is like it's nostalgic for me. It's great cardiovascular exercise. It helps you with hand-eye coordination, rhythm, teamwork. It's so many different aspects that it and confidence. You know, like I taught my little cousin how to jump, and she kept saying, I just want to stand in the middle. Just turn when I stand in the middle. And I said, no, I want to teach you how to jump in. And she was like, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not, you know, she's kind of was always like chubby when she was younger and stuff like that. And I was like, cuz if you trust me, listen to my directions, do what I say, you're going to do it. And it took like 15 different tries, and she was ready to quit. And I said, no, if we're not tired of turning, you shouldn't be tired of jumping. We want you to try. And she kept trying. And when she did it, I mean, her confidence level was like through the roof. She couldn't believe that she was able to do something. It was a great moment, you know, and that's what makes this kind of work worth it, having those kind of moments when you see them do it. It's like, we didn't do it, we were just turning. You were the one jumping, you know. And she was like, wow, I could jump double dutch. So
I think it's a fantastic idea. I think you should say it with your chest. I love double dutch. That this is what I want to do in the community. Do not be ashamed. No one is judging you, and whoever wants to judge you, it's none of our business, right? I say do it. I would be a young girl watching TV about the Americans doing the beautiful American girls, black girls doing the double dutch. And I just thought it was fantastic. They'd sing different types of things as well. And it was just. So yes.
Oh, you look like you could be one of our turners. You got that rhythm. I see it.
I'll be there. Listen, yes, please do it. And have confidence with it and own it. It's a beautiful thing.
Definitely.
Beautiful thing.
Definitely.
So thank you. Yes, I'm going to see about like how I could market this and try to get, you know, like you said, not necessarily think too big, you know, 2, 3, 4 little girls and just start from there. Definitely.
It's beautiful. It builds confidence. It keeps it together. Oh, so many different things. Like you said, weight loss. So many different things.
Yeah. Well, I know we've got a question in the comments. Where are you based?
I don't know if you guys can tell, but I hear a little echo. I'm not sure where that's coming from.
There is. I'm not sure why.
It's coming from Cheryl's.
She's on mute though. Where are you based?
Just put her on mute.
Okay.
Where am I based? I'm in Maryland, in the United States.
Okay. So we had a question that asked, where are you based? So I think maybe they was thinking about, I don't know, matching up with you.
Well, if you're in Maryland, if you, whoever that is, if you're in Maryland, we can collab, you know.
Yeah. No, I think that would definitely be a great thing. If I was there, I would join in because I've always wanted to learn how to double dutch. And I've got 3 girls, and I'm sure that's something would love to do as well. So
Love
do
that.
it.
And like, so when I was working in a high school, we got this one group of like adults who have they have their own Double Dutch organization. They came to our school with, like their more professional ropes. And during the lunchtime period, we had young girls come in. The ones who knew how to jump, they jumped, and a few who didn't know how to jump, they just tried it out. We did, do the single rope for people, and even a lot of the boys were getting involved in the single. We were turning the single rope; they were trying as well, and it was just good. It was like, for people. My dog is trying to get on the live. I'm sorry. But for a lot of the youth who are so sedentary, they're always playing video games, they're always watching TV. It was really good during lunchtime that they were actually doing something active, because high school students, they just mostly just want to sit around, chill. They eat their food, they eat junk, and they want to talk to their little boyfriend, their little girlfriend, or whatever. But that time they were like up, they were moving, they were jumping, and it was really good to see them be more active. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like Cheryl was saying earlier about funding, there might be in your local council having, I don't know, something that they could help support with, or the organization that you used to, that came in the school that you talked about, they may be able to support you on something if they're still going. Yeah. Nice. This is good.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on, Queen, and sharing your thoughts and experience with us. And let us know. Come back. I know you're always with us on the Sunday, so when you do
I'm
get
here on Sundays and Thursdays. Don't forget.
Yes, we see you.
Yes. Total exposure. That's right.
keep us updated about your Double Dutch group. We'd love to hear about it once it's up and running.
Yes, I will, definitely. Thank you all for inviting me on. And Mr. Cheryl, keep up all the wonderful work that you're doing. I mean, you are an inspiration to mothers. You're an inspiration to just women in general, putting in that work in the community and encouraging us to be active in the village, to activate that mothering element that is within us, to cultivate the youth. And I just want to just encourage you to keep on, sister, because it's beautiful.
Definitely.
Have no choice. We have no choice. As a people, as a community, we have no choice but to do something. Our children are watching. And that's what I always say. Our children are watching. So we have no choice but to do it. So I look forward to hearing more about your Double Dutch.
Is the food ready yet?
Kind of. And then when I come out there, I'm going to get involved.
Yes, you are welcome to come to Maryland, and come and Double Dutch with us, but I do realize that the efforts that you put in with our young men, I think that the what I want to say, how to word this, the issues or the barriers that we face, they're different from the women to the men, right? Or young boys to young girls. And so whereas I can connect with young women through Double Dutch, I will say sometimes I do feel a struggle because I work with incarcerated youth. And when I hear, so I started collecting information from them as far as what was the age that when they started having problems, right? Because I felt like, how do you tackle this problem? How do you prevent helping a young man transition back into the community? What if we could intervene before they even went to jail? What if we could intervene before they started selling drugs or started carrying guns and so forth? And so far, and I don't have much data, like me personally, like the data that I personally gathered. I don't have much data, but the data that I did get was at around the age of 12 to 13, right? And
Absolutely.
those years, 12, 13, 14, is when they start that influence. And I was thinking to myself, but I was always with my son when he was those ages. I was always like involved, like what the heck? How do you know? But every parent is doing something different when their child's around that age. For some parents, okay, they're a young man now. I can let go. I can release the ring, you know, and allow them to be them. And so I commend you for the work that you're doing, even, you know, for adolescents in the what they would call their later ages, because a lot of people forget about them when they're at that age. They feel like they're good. They don't need all that monitoring. And for you to put things in place for 15, 16, 17-year-olds, that's so dope. I don't even know another word to say besides dope. Like, it's so awesome. Like you're literally saw the gap and then you filled it. You know what I mean? Like you fill the gap.
Yeah, it's true. Thank you again for coming on, Queen Cheryl.
Yes. Take care, sisters.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cheryl, do you have any last words? Where can everyone find you?
They can find me online. Even if they should try with my other Facebook page, which is called Antata Anum. Don't ask me why I made up that name. I created it years ago, never used it, and now it's come in handy. Because my Cheryl Phoenix, I'm at max capacity, and I'm always blocked on there, so I don't want people to think I'm ignoring them. And I'm all the socials: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. So if people want to see any of the videos I have done previously, I know I haven't been doing as many as I should really do, but they can still see some of the content that's out there. So yeah, I'm findable. If you just Google my name or the Black Child Agenda, we're the only one with that name, purposely, so we don't get confused with anybody else. And Cheryl Phoenix, I'm out there.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl, for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Sorry about all the noise and disruption here, but the food is coming along nicely. The door's knocking.
You're doing a good thing. You're doing a good thing. It's good. I got a lot of Cheryl being there. So I hope that everybody else too, those in the comments, those watching us on Facebook Live, I hope you were able to get something from it. And if you do have any children that are in these establishments at the moment and are having any problems, please do hit Cheryl Phoenix up and her company, the Black Child Agenda. I'm sure that she'll be able to help or point you in the right direction on what you can do. Thank you, Nakima, for coming on once again.
Welcome.
And as well, you're with the mental health issue side of it as well. I feel like that is a great thing to point out as well. So thank you for that. Nakima, where can everyone find you? Because for those who don't know, Nakima does work in that field. So tell everyone where to find you, Nakima.
Oh yes. So I'm on Instagram. It's Tailored Therapy from my therapy account. From my personal account, it is KEAMZT, Keems T, that is, and that's on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well. So my Facebook address is Nakima T, and then I put come on because it took me about 18 million tries to get one name. So it's Nakima T, come on Facebook. And that's it. So, and Twitter as well, Nakima T or T Nakima on Twitter. But yeah, it's all on my social medias. So reach out to me if you want. I'll be happy to answer any questions that anyone has. Absolutely. Any support that I can give, I'm there.
That's great. Thank you. And thank you for joining us once again with our Sister Sunday, International Sister Sunday conversations, discussions. We really appreciate those of you in the comments. We appreciate Black Ice TV for hosting us every single week. It is in the comments, but guys, for what we do, please, if you would like to donate, the PayPal where you can donate to the Black Ice TV. And also to International Sister Circle as well. If you do want to find out more about what we do, again, our social medias are on Instagram. You can find us at International Sister Circle. You can go to our website and subscribe to our newsletter or find out more about what we do. And that is internationalsistercircle.com, which is our website. And our email address is info@internationalsistercircle.com. We are here every single Sunday from 3 p.m. We have different discussions, different hosts come on. And I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as we are, because I learn something every single week. So I just love it. And I love that we're really, as I said in the beginning, building up homes, building up communities, and hopefully in order to build a village so that we can stand tall.
Ashe, ashe. Love that. Shout out to my little sister, Taylor Made, for putting her comments in, and everybody else. Everybody's joined. Empress, Melanated Goddess as well. Shout out to her. Shout out to Mr. Riggs. Everybody, you guys, Joshua, you a brilliant host. I love your hosting skills. Absolutely love your energy every single week. Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, don't forget we've got Black Girls Rock, Queen Afua over there in just under half an hour's time. So 5 p.m, go over to Instagram, Black Girls Rock. You will see Queen Afua there with Chef Ramara and some other guests who will be joining as well. Don't forget also we will be having Queen Afua right here on International Sister Circle every single month. I'm so excited. You guys don't even know. And for those of you who don't know, Queen Afua does endorse International Sister Circle. So we can't wait to have her on the show when she does actually come on. Mr. Riggs, what we got on for Black Ice TV for the rest of the week?
That's the secret. I'll give you one secret. On Wednesday, we are having an interaction of our link up show, and the country we're linking up this Wednesday is JA.
Ooh.
So we're going to be having the dialogues and how we can work with Jamaica from the UK to Jamaica in forms of the youth, in forms of business, in forms of what we can do to able to create a movement.
Nice.
So once we finish that, as usual, we have the next day. We have
Total Exposure for the Culture. Log in 9 p.m. every single Thursday. We have different artists, different creators come on. We have our vibe session with DJ Butch. Come and join us.
And in between everything, there's going to be other shows, but I haven't got the list as yet. So you watch out, listen out, go to the Instagrams, Black Ice TV, Mr. Riggs, or even Total Exposure, and you can find out what's going on, or the International Sister Circle. If you like to register on their website, or you can give a holler out on the Instagram or the Facebook, because we are live on Facebook right now. So get your information, put it in, and we need as many sisters, because before we head out, we have what we call things that we're going to be doing next year. So there's going to be a whole heap of tours going from country to country. So from the first one we're going to be doing is Brazil. Now, after Brazil is going to be a long term, because we're not just going to one place, we're going to a few places, but our Pacific place will be Salvador Bahia. And that will be hosted and be following behind the one and only. Anyone know? She's a queen. She's from Congo.
Congo, cool.
Queen Diam. She's asking for a collective of women in different fields so that we are able to attack in many different ways, from the women in domestic violence to uneducated kids, from kids going into prison. So we're going to be going through a lot of political stances as well as going through the communities. Yeah. So in every place we go, we tackle it. So we're looking for volunteers for Manhood Academy. We're looking for volunteers for Womanhood Academy. We're looking for volunteers for International Sister Circle. We're looking for volunteers for Queen Afua. We're looking for volunteers for Queen Diambi and much more. There's too many names to reel. But as I said, the next part we're going to, in which I'm going to play the video before we head out. But if Cheryl has something to say, has Cheryl got anything to say to the public?
I can't hear you.
Have you got anything to say to the public?
Prepping the food in the background. That all sounds really, really, really good. So I don't know if you need me to add anything or send anything, support in whatever way I can, but you know I'm here. So and even when I'm not banned on Facebook, but all the other side are there. You know, on Facebook I've got a following over 100,000. So once I'm not banned, that's very easy. But even on my other Instagram, my email, just let me know and I'll send it out for you. That's the little I can do.
I will put you into the women's group.
Okay.
So then when all the information goes there, we all know how to work everything. We need to work as a team.
Cool. That's fine. Just let me know. This phone keeps locking. Just let me know what you need and I'll do what I can.
Okay. So is there any last words from the Queens? You're on mute.
Sorry. No, just again, thank you for joining. Head over to Black Girls Rock to see Queen Afua, Chef, and FKA. And we'll see you right back here. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Queen.
Thank you.
Bye.
As I always say, as we wait, what do I say, girls?
Stay black, be black, do black, buy black.
Believe in black. My black people, I love you so much. And keep posted as much as possible.
Matumba mambo wamesema yokiduka melode Neli pagando ewani munenge bonadera Muma omete do Udine Nicarago Matumba mawase mesema yokiduka melode Neli pagando ewani yoba makosa mundi Mama, oh, baby, Songele pito, viva dice punya bilame. No vina tonita equipa no de polopanga. Yepe niña banga yo. William Teka Puma, Atenga Kusaka Kobakajana. Kusima Temu Ike Kawasanga do Bikwadi. Kaya Bewa Dedi, Kaya Bewa Bupeyo. Lombudi ileke tongo bati, Joito Tonya Diogo Nebela Bato Kabina Bela. Bela Nyasame, Ikuta Mandenge Abina Bela. Ayo Ibo Ayo Abina Bela. Bela Nyasame, Ibushi Abina Bela. Emajida Kota Yo Ayo Bela 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 nyasame. Bandu mamondo babina bela, bela emakosa. Yoboe, yoboe, bela, 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 yobela, bela. Bela nyasame, midumbu mina miyoki oye bisomo pende mi.